Welcome, everybody. This is Gregg Rock, and thrilled that you can join us to talk about the value proposition of business architecture. And this webcast is going to feature Steve Beise and myself, and we're going to get underway. Just like to mention a few things about BA Institute in case this is the first time you've joined us. So we are the oldest and largest business architecture community in the world, established back in 2005. And we provide education, training, and certification for folks looking to adopt the business architecture discipline. One of our unique features is that all of our courses are taught by practitioners for practitioners. And so the guys and gals that deliver our training have a wealth of experience. Many of them run their own companies, have written books, recognized in the space for their thought leadership, and contributed to a lot of industry initiatives. We've also had nice work said about us from Forrester Research and Gartner. And our curriculums cover the business architecture discipline, as well as BPM and digital transformation. You can see an overview of our courses on the business architecture learning path on our website. All of our business architecture courses have been updated for 2021, 2022. Including a brand new version of BA 101 available on demand. And thanks to Steve and Pat Selesky and Ed Hunt for their contributions there. So now I'd like to introduce you to Steve Beise. Steve is a certified business architecture professional. He leads the charge for the primary instructor on many of our business architecture courses, also helped in the recent effort to develop our business architecture certification exam. And he's also the CEO of Servant Labs Consulting. Steve has over 25 years of helping organizations to develop and execute their strategy, business architecture, project portfolio management programs, and has had many, many contributions to the Institute. You can see Steve's contributions on the BA Institute website. So Steve, welcome, and thrilled that we've been able to accomplish so much this year under trying conditions, but I thought it'd be a great time to take a moment and update and refresh folks on the value of business architecture. So I'll hand it off to you.
Thanks, Greg. Excited to be here. Excited to go through the content that we have for you today. And yeah, it's been a fun journey here with the BA Institute over the last 5 years. And working with all the different teams, different clients, and then working to update this content for everybody. So very excited. All right, so let's jump into it. We've got business architecture, skills we want to kind of talk about. Again, today we're going to talk about those concepts, methods, and frameworks, and the practical application of those concepts and methods and frameworks, and then getting those business results. So we're going to cover off business architecture definition and the value. We're going to look at customer profiles and value proposition mapping, talk about some architecture, business architecture concepts, modeling, talk about strategy to execution, what that looks like, maturity assessments, and then the business architecture practice and business architecture alignment, and at a very high level today. All right, some questions that people generally have coming into this. What is business architecture? Why is it important? What is business architecture's key focus? And then how can we use it in our everyday working lives? How do we expand on this and make it actually practical, applicable, etc.? So excited to jump in and answer these questions for you today. All right, let's take a look at the overall business architecture foundation. So a little history. When we first found business architecture, brought up was really in 1995 with the Open Group's TOGAF framework. They have business architecture reference there. We took did some analysis of that work back in about 2006 or so, and found that we liked what they had, but we thought it could still be a little bit different, right? So 2005, the Business Architecture Institute was founded, the BA Institute here. 2007, we launched the Business Architecture Professional Certificate Program. Also in 2007, we found the object management group, the OMG group, special interest group was formed. So that was great. 2010, something that Linda Finley and I had access to or helped with was the Business Architecture Guild formation, but then the publication of the BizBox. So you'll actually see that Linda is one of the original writers of the BizBox back in 2010. Also in 2010, kind of, again, as I was saying, with the Open Group and the things that we saw, was really trying to understand business architecture and what that really looked like. And so in 2010, we started the Twin Cities Business Architecture Forum, which ultimately grew to one of the largest groups of business architects getting together on a regular basis, according to Gartner. So that was pretty exciting. We've learned a lot throughout that time frame, and we've taken that information and really put it into the BizBox and our work there, and then into this program. So we try to make the program very practical, tell a lot of stories about, stories from the trenches kind of thing. And so it's a lot of experience that we have from that Business Architecture Forum group, and then our work working with a number of different organizations throughout the country. In 2021, we launched our Business Architecture Certificate Program, and very excited about that. There was a lot of work to get that done and actually get, if you decide to be a business architect, you can take your career to the next level and actually get certified in that program. And then we're excited about where business architecture is going. We really are at, really the beginning of business architecture and as a practice, as a discipline. And we're seeing companies implement business architecture and really take hold of it. So we're excited to see where it goes. Again, we align to the Business Architecture Guild and the BizBox. Big believers that if you're going to be a business architect, you should, sign up and be part of the guild and look through that BizBox. They're currently on version 9.0, which was created back in January 2017. So I highly recommend that you get a copy of it. Our program aligns very closely with the material that you'll find in the BizBox. And so just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that organization and that resource and all the other great resources that the Guild has out there. All right, let's take a look at the definition. So when we think about the definition of business architecture, we think about that holistic view of the enterprise that integrates and aligns capabilities. And our definition of capabilities is people, process, tools, and information. Notice we use the word tools and not technology. We believe technology is a component of tools, but tools could be anything from IP or our buildings or equipment or money. All those kinds of things fit into this broad definition of tools. So that's how we think about capabilities as people, process, tools, and information. And so our business architecture really provides that blueprint and model of the business. And what we're trying to do is help leaders, decision makers, be able to make informed decisions related to everything from the vision, creating the vision for the organization, a vision for a department, all the way through execution. And we want to enable stakeholders to align at all levels on the organization on things like their purpose, the mission, the vision, the strategy, and then how we're going to execute. So that's how we look at business architecture and the definition of business architecture. Another aspect that we think about business architecture is just kind of the overall context. So in the middle here, you'll see business architecture, and then there's all these disciplines around it. Now, if you're going to be a business architect, you have to have an understanding, I would say an appreciation of these different disciplines. We probably grew up in one of these disciplines and either moved into the business architect role, or again, maybe you're here today and you're from one of these areas and business architecture looks like maybe it's a path where you want to go, or you just want to understand how do you integrate with business architecture. And so disciplines that we work with are everything from organizational design, that people aspect. We're driving change into the organization, so we need change leadership, change management. We look at information, and so that's a key component to the organization as a whole, is how do we get information to the right people at the right time so they make good decisions. We've got technology architecture, that we work with, right, to bring the solutions to bear. We feed information into the project portfolio group, which then turns into execution. So we're working with project program management. We're working with solution delivery, right? They're actually executing on the vision and the strategy. And so that's our solution delivery, which can include business analysis and key role because they're involved using requirements in the business case. And so there's some interdependencies and linkage there. And another group that we're working with would really be the product management group. So again, different disciplines that business architects work with are integrated with as they do their work. All right. Some other concepts around business architecture. Again, what we're trying to do is provide context and understanding to the organizational environment. How can we help leaders understand what's going on in the organization? A lot of times, people are working within their own, quote, silo, and they may not clearly understand other parts of the organization and what's happening, and so we can bring that to bear for them so they can understand and make good decisions. It defines and communicates the structure of the organization to enable and enhance your purpose, the organization's purpose. And it's a discipline to convey the organization's current and future business opportunities, align investments to people, process, tools, and information so we can realize our business goals. But it's a discipline, right? It's not things that are made up. It's not, we'll do this today, do that tomorrow. We have a very disciplined approach to business architecture. To continue on business architecture concepts, it defines and designs your business. We have a great little business model that we work with to help with that as an example, and defines our operations to enable and enhance achieving the organization's purpose. Why are we here? What's our mission? Enables you to understand and optimize your organization from the top down and bottom up. We're working with the leaders. Sometimes we're working at the C-level in the group to help them make decisions, help optimize that organization. And other times we're working at the execution level. And so we're working on that bottom up. It links business and technology, connecting the current state and the future state, right? So just some overall concepts about business architecture to keep in mind. Then we've got some overall business architecture principles. It is architecture. It is governed by principles. It's designed for purpose. We're not doing exercises just to do an exercise and say that we did this. The whole intent of what we're doing is to get clarity and understanding and help the organization make good decisions, right? So it's designed for purpose. Integrates various components to take advantage of synergies that are out there. Also could be redundancies, identifying redundancies or opportunities that are out there. Aligns our efforts and structures towards a common goal. Okay, here's our vision, here's our strategy. That's the goal that we're trying to hit. Let's get everyone in alignment towards that. And it considers everything about the organization, external, internal, our sites, our structures, our systems. Again, people, process, tools, and information, internal and external to the organization, right? So some key principles as we think about business architecture. Some truths that we found, just kind of what I was just saying there, the scope of the business is, the scope of business architecture is the scope of the business. It's a model of the enterprise that facilitates change. The thing that we're working on here, the thing that we're doing is driving change in the organization. We're moving from where we're at today to wherever that vision is in the future. It highlights the interconnected nature of the business. That's a key part of what we're doing is we're showing those interconnections, those intersections in the business. It doesn't encompass the technical architecture, but it links to it, right? We're not doing the technical work, but we're definitely going to work with our technical partners to make sure that what we're coming up with from a business perspective can align to be executed by the technical architecture. It illuminates the organization for decision making. I love that word illuminates because what we found over time is when we highlight something, we usually get organizational buy-in, excitement, energy, focus around that area, and things really start to take off. So we can illuminate a piece of the organization and help the leaders make good decisions. And you don't have to wait for the big picture to be 100% before you get started. You know, we have to understand the whole entire capability map for the organization. What we want to be able to do is start where we can add value. Where's the pain and where we can add value from that pain, right? It's critical to establish that strategic context, but we're going to act tactically, and we're going to solve those pains. All right. Some overall business architecture objectives. Again, we're trying to establish a common language across the organization. We can make the assumption that we have a common language. What we find is, you know, a lot of organizations are missing that common language that's out there. We're creating a holistic view of the business ecosystem, right? Again, we're looking at the whole scope of the business inside and outside, trying to enable the operational complexity of the business. Our organization, especially large, you know, billion-dollar-plus organizations, are extremely complex. No one can see, understands the whole entire organization. And so we can help highlight, bring information to those making decisions so that they can understand those complexities out there. Trying to facilitate that cross-organizational alignment. Again, not operate in silos, but how can we work together across our whole organization? Capture synergies for that collaborative investment decision, focus the organization on the highest impact capabilities. What are those core capabilities that we have? And let's make sure that those core capabilities are you know, the highest maturity. We're taking care of from that people, process, tools, and information perspective. And we're looking to identify redundancies or how we can reuse capabilities in the organization and improvement opportunities. And we could do assessments and assess our capabilities and then find those areas for improvement and then make those recommendations on how we can improve and bring that to the organization for their decisions. All right. Some overall objectives. The value that business architecture brings, we want to be able to invest in and execute business architecture. And when we do that, it's going to pay significant dividends. We're going to achieve the business vision, strategy, and goals. We hear a lot about organizations that can't execute on their strategy. Business architecture can help execute on that strategy. We can eliminate those redundancies. We can help reduce costs. And the big one that we're seeing today is really accelerate time to market. Bring clarity to the organization and allow us to focus so we can execute and get it to market in a timely fashion. Another aspect that we see, and as you think about business architects, we have this concept of enterprise architecture. We got this umbrella here. A lot of times enterprise architecture is really synonymous with technology architecture. And the way that we think about it is more from this broad perspective of it's about business architecture and technology architecture. It should encompass both of those areas, right? So it should look at the strategy. It should look at the model. It should look at our capability architecture of the organization, which really encompasses the processes of an organization, the information. And then there's the technology architecture around infrastructure, application, data, security, et cetera. So business architecture is trying to focus on the what, the when and the why. I'd say really the what we're trying to do. And technology architecture can then focus on, well, how do we want to do that, right? So we believe enterprise architecture should encompass both of these areas and think about the business side of things and the technology side and not just be focused on enterprise architecture. Again, that's commonly what we see out in the organization. If you have that today, we would say that you really need to take a look into what your enterprise architecture looks like and really should house both business and technology architecture. All right. Another aspect here is business architects and business analysts and kind of understanding the difference between those two. We hear this question quite a bit. And so business architects really focus on collecting information on that strategic position of the organization or business group and making sure that we're clear on what that vision, what that strategy looks like, and then helping them understand where they're at from that capability perspective. And so getting a clear picture on their capabilities and then those gaps in those capabilities. So possibly doing, again, an assessment there to understand, are we missing capability, or is a low maturity of a capability? We need to improve either the people, process, tool, or information aspects, right? So that we can actually reach our goals. So that's the focus of business architects. Business analysts really focused on understanding the root cause of a specific business problem. A lot of times they spend their time doing IT requirements to address a specific problem, may get into some process work, may even get into scoping some different projects. But the point here is business analyst work is generally more tactical, more specific to a specific business problem. Business architects are trying to look at the holistic, more global perspective, right? And not that one's better than the other. We need both of them in the organization to do their work. They're both critical roles for an organization to execute and hit their strategy, right? All right, let's talk about capabilities. It's the core of business architecture, huge component, and everything that we think about really stems from capabilities. So what we want to do is really put strategy into action, right? So we can accomplish our vision. So on the left-hand side here in the red, what you'll see is we have our model of business purpose and our capabilities and performance, kind of a three-legged stool. All three of these areas have to work, and this is our current state. And so what we're trying to do is understand our current state and then move that to our future state, whatever that vision is, right? And so here's our vision over here. We've got, again, our business purpose, capabilities, and performance. And the strategy is what's going to move us from our current state to our future state. And so that strategy is key, right? And so our capabilities, we're going to leverage and grow, mature those capabilities, and we're trying to improve our performance. So a lot of our work that we do is right here in the middle, and really trying to make sure that we understand what our vision is, what we could become, and then making sure that strategy for that vision's clear so that we can drive action that's going to move us from our current state to our future state, right? This work right here in the middle, this gray circle, is really where we do a lot of our work as business architects. We're helping organizations move from where they currently are to where they want to be, right? Let's talk about capability definition. Capabilities are enabled through, and I've said this a couple times already, and this is key, it's people, process, tools, and information. When we use those four different components, everything in an organization fits into that model. Everything fits into people, process, tools, and information. Again, capabilities help us provide a common language to understand and drive alignment across the organization. It helps define what a company does. And they're fairly static and really change over time, right? So as you think about capabilities, I don't know what we're trying to do in the organization, they're static and really change over time, okay? Here's another critical aspect as we think about, capabilities with business architecture. So business architecture is really focusing on those interactions and those interdependencies of people, process, tools, and information, so those capabilities, within and across capabilities of the organization, right? So we really need to understand clearly a single capability, people, process, tools, and information, and then understand how does that capability interact and what interdependencies does it have within the organization. Again, trying to get out of these silos of the organization, and you can look at something in a silo and make sure we're clear there, but then how does it interact and what are those interdependencies with other capabilities across the organization? So a lot of great work that we can do to help the organization understand those capabilities across the entire organization. All right, let's look at business architecture focus. So we've probably seen a little bit of where we focus today. It's coming in pretty clearly, I hope, that, we spend time again on that business vision and strategy. We're trying to make sure that that vision is clear and goals are articulated via a business model, and we've got strategies and tactics that are driven by that vision. So the vision and the strategy are in alignment. That business vision and strategy is articulated via business architecture, via our different capabilities that we have, right? So we're looking at those capabilities and we're trying to make sure that those are aligned across the organization, and that it makes sense to the organization, and we don't have redundancies in our capabilities across the organization. We're probably going to find redundancies. Is that the right thing to have or not? And then that business architecture, those capabilities enable actionable deployment plans. We have a business-driven roadmap. We've got priorities that are funded. We understand the key projects and initiatives across the organization, which may be a transformation strategy, right? There's a number of different levels of change, but when it comes to transformation, I'll be clear on that, right? I want to be clear on that. All right, we've also got our business alignment model, business architecture alignment model, where we, again, put all these key pieces into an overall model so that we can look at and say that, we're looking at strategy definition. We're talking about the business purpose, mission, vision, strategy, and the model, right? We're talking about capabilities. We've got our capability map. We may have a capability value stream. We're going to do maturity assessments on our capabilities, understand the value of those capabilities, and then do the mapping around that value to help us understand where we should be investing, where there's challenges, where we're good. Maybe we've got core capabilities that are in great shape, or where we need to make investments. So that'd be the gap analysis, which then leads us to what projects what initiatives do we have? So investment analysis on which ones we want to do, then select those projects, put those into a roadmap, and then manage that through a portfolio. And then at the end here, understand and measure our performance. Are we actually meeting our strategy and our vision? And so reporting out that performance is a key component. So we've got this model. It takes us all the way from the top of business purpose and mission and vision and strategy all the way through execution, right? And so this is a key playground, if you will, framework that we have that business architects can use to execute the work that they're doing in their day-to-day lives. All right, let's talk about alignment of business architecture. So business architecture isn't in a silo, right? It's working at everything across the organization, but there's some key areas that we align with. Number one being IT. And so we're going to spend a minute talking about that. Business architecture also feeds into project delivery. So we can talk about that. It works with product management, and it also works with business process management. So these are kind of four key areas that we hear over time where there's questions about how does business architecture align with these different groups. So we're going to talk about that real quick. So we think about the business not from a business versus IT perspective, but I think about it holistically, right? IT is one component of the business, just like sales, marketing, finance, legal, HR, operations. It's one component. And so when we talk about business architecture and it's the scope of the business, it's the entire business here, which isn't everything but IT. But we do acknowledge that organizations are set up. There's this conversation that happens out there around, quote, business versus IT. And so we can dig into it and take a look at it from this business versus IT perspective. But really, when we're thinking about business architecture, we're thinking about the whole entire business, IT being one of those components. Again, we're not doing the IT work, just like we're not doing the marketing and sales work, but we're working with the different groups to give them information that can help them make good decisions, right? That's what we're trying to do. So, if we look at it from this business perspective, we can bring alignment of IT vision strategy to the business vision strategy. Again, we hear a lot of times those are out of alignment. So how do we bring those into alignment? We can help with that. Bring alignment of then the IT roadmaps, the business roadmaps, right? Make sure those are in alignment. Again, a common language across the business. We want to make sure we identify all projects, and look at the total project portfolio, not just business projects or IT projects, but what do all those projects look like? I would say that we have business projects that are the business aspects of it, and then there's the technical aspects of it, right? There's the people changes we're going to do. There's the process changes we're going to do. There's the technology changes. There's the information needs that we have. We should be looking at all four of those elements and looking at it holistically for our projects. Then we can prioritize all those projects. Again, we can link that technical solution to those business capabilities, and our capabilities are across the organization, the business capabilities. So don't think about it from this IT versus business perspective, but I think I made that clear. Shift the business areas taking ownership of projects. We hear this quite a bit. IT says, well, they don't own it. So, trying to minimize this throwing projects over the wall to IT kind of thing. The flip side, sometimes I feel like IT is the tail wagging the dog. So how can we eliminate that or minimize that? And then trying to make sure that we don't just focus on IT, but we think about the business holistically, right? So those are some benefits of having business architects work with both the business partners as well as their IT partners and bring that together. Another key kind of model that helps people understand where we're going from a business architecture perspective and how that aligns to IT then is, again, we're getting clear on the business vision here on the left. So what are those strategies needed to support that vision? What are those objectives that we need? And then what are the capabilities that support that? So part of our exercise is mapping capabilities back to these different strategies, back to the vision, right? But then on the flip side, if capabilities are people, process, tools, and information, which includes technology, then we can come and look at it from this IT perspective, where we can look at it from our services, we can look at it from our applications and data, from our infrastructure perspective, and from the overall IT organization to support it. So this can really show the alignment. This can show the intersection between business architecture and then the IT side. So hopefully that's helpful. All right. The next area is project delivery, traditional versus agile, right? Kind of waterfall versus various agile methodologies, frameworks that are out there. And here's what's true about business architecture. No matter whether you're working with traditional methodologies or an agile methodology, business architecture provides a framework and insight on transforming, changing, modifying the current state to the future state, right? That's key. We can offer traceability of the strategy through delivery using those business capabilities. We've got different techniques that we can use to help with things like heat mapping or value mapping to show what capabilities need to be matured or changed, and then tie that to our initiatives, which then can be tied to our requirements. We can make sure that then we've got a clear set of acceptance criteria, and we can make sure that there's shared context across the entire business team, across the business units, across those project teams, whether they're doing traditional waterfall projects or agile projects, right? So regardless of the methodology, the truth is business architecture is really a great funnel, if you will, that feeds those project frameworks, regardless of the methodology, regardless of the framework, all right? Critical information that's going to help those project teams. All right, from a product management perspective, again, we can help product management group, product development group, what have you, from identifying customer segments and customer needs to working through the solution offering. What are those staffing models needed? Again, process definition here, as the model shows. So again, we can look at something from a capability perspective. We can look at a product offering from a capability perspective and look at people, process, tools, and information. And so business architecture doesn't replace product management, just like it doesn't replace sales or marketing or finance or whatever. But we can work with the product group, we can integrate into their frameworks and help provide value, help provide insights, use some of our tools to help make sure that we've got a solid product offering, et cetera, to our clients, right? So again, we can integrate, align with, work with the product group to help out. And then from a business process management perspective, kind of just one key note here real quick is we believe business architecture and BPM, business process management, should coexist. Again, just like business analysis, we think there's great value in both disciplines in the organization. And so organizations are going to benefit from both business architecture and business process management. Business architecture information can be used to inform business process management and their information, and vice versa, right? We need to get clear on business architecture and business process management frameworks within the organization so that we can then understand the roles and responsibilities for each of those groups and how they're going to work together. And so we need to define those intersections and those dependencies between business architecture group and the business process management group, their frameworks, and make sure that, you know, one's feeding the other. How are we going to integrate these two disciplines within the organization? Again, I think one key way when we think about capabilities, and we've got people, process, tools, and information, you look at the process component, and obviously business process management helps with business process. I would love to have a BPM person that we can engage with, work with, and bring their discipline on process to the table to make sure that from a capability standpoint, those processes are clearly defined, clearly understood by the organization, right? So that discipline, those experts can help with that. So again, we should work with them. All right, the next area that we can talk about here, and I'm going to turn this back over to Gregg, is to talk about a business architecture certification and our corporate membership program. So Gregg, if you want to pick this up.
All right, Steve, thank you so much. It's been great working with you. I love your enthusiasm. It's clear to see, how passionate you are about the business architecture field. And thank you for bringing that into our classes and getting the participants there jazzed up. So just a quick overview, folks.
Yeah,
so Steve has basically walked us through the business architecture discipline, hitting a lot of the high points. And these are all covered in depth within our 8-course curriculum. So these sessions are highly interactive. We're teaching you how to build a business architecture. We're educating you and teaching you how to manage and leverage capabilities, the business model canvas, and a lot of other concepts, essentially to help you successfully launch, manage, and grow your business architecture practice. So I just have a few quick slides. That's an overview of our program. And then I also have a digital badge for folks at the end to thank you for attending the session. So the business architecture certificate, as I mentioned on the learning paths earlier, consists of 8 courses. We make the courses available in all the most popular delivery methods. Hopefully we'll be returning to face-to-face events in 2022. But we offer the courses online, on demand. We also do private courses for groups and a lot of different options. As Steve mentioned, the folks that teach our courses have involvement across the industry, participating with the Guild, and make sure that our program is aligned with the BizBach. And then earlier this year, we released our business architecture certification exam. So there's actually 2 credentials that you can earn with us. By finishing the program, you can earn the business architecture professional certificate. And then by passing the exam, you become a certified business architect. And that is an exam that we administer online. You can find some details about that on the website. We also have some tools for you to figure out how ready you are to sit for the certification exam. So our business architecture self-assessment was just completely updated for 2021, 2022. It would probably take you less than 10 minutes to complete on our website. It's available free of charge. And what it does is it gives you a ranking of where your current skills are across the 6 different practice areas that make up the business architecture discipline. It also outputs a nice report at the end that gives you some recommendations by each of these areas and has a list of references, assets that are on the BA Institute site, as well as around the industry, where you can get some additional information and education on those topics. And the business architecture certificate is part of our family of certificate programs. Steve mentioned a lot of the complementary topics. Obviously, our sister sites, BPM Institute, we focus on business process management, operational excellence, as well as agile BPM. We also have our Digital Business Institute, which is where we house all of our digital transformation offerings. So we have a new digital transformation professional certificate, as well as certificate programs that are focused on very specific areas of transformation. So we're covering agile business analysis, decision automation, process mining, low code, no code, and intelligent automation. And for most of the digital transformation courses, they're going to debut in our November online event, and our business architecture and BPM offerings will be there in their entirety. And we hope that you can join us. I'd like to also provide everyone with a digital badge to thank you for attending today's session. And on our last slide, contact information in case you'd like to reach out and talk to myself or any of our advisors to give you some direction on your training roadmap for yourself or your organization. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Steve Beise, thank you for all your efforts, Steve. And folks, we look forward to hosting you on an upcoming webcast.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks, everybody.